asked about how did it, this transcendental knowledge came into existence. So it is, in a way, you can say origin of it. But the second was, then how did it get transmitted? So from whom? How did it get transmitted? From whom it came? Via what medium? So he says, Evam Rajara Shayo Vidu, which means the saintly kings. So Krishna gave it to the sun god, and then he in turn gave it to Manu, and Manu passed it on to Ikshvaku. And this way, via the saintly kings, through a disciplic succession, which means one disciple hears it from the guru through the medium of oral reception, and then he passes it on to the next generation. So this way that knowledge came down. So evam parampara praptam. It came through a certain tradition. Then came the most important thing, that even the Lord himself acknowledges that in due course of time, that link, that chain got broken. What does that mean? Does it mean that the last disciple didn't have the next disciple? No. He did have the next disciple, but the next disciple interpreted it in a wrong manner because he did not hear it correctly. His method of hearing was faulty. What do we mean by the word hearing it faulty? So then, Krishna, today when we will be discussing, he would say, if you want to get this transcendental knowledge, Arjun, then you have to have certain qualification. One of them is, one has to be my devotee, bhakto asi. Then you can receive this transcendental knowledge. One has to be non-envious to me. You can't be jealous of me and get it at the same time. That's a qualification. Then you have to be friendly with me. Sakhache. You are my friend, you are my devotee, you are not envious of me. But is it sufficient in itself to have these qualities? Well, you need something else. So then Krishna says, Tadvidhi pranipaten pariprashnen sevaya. You inquire. Vidhi means to know. Tadvidhi. Therefore, go and inquire. Pranipaten. Now look at the way he is saying things. He's not saying Tadvidhi pariprashnen. Go and simply ask questions. No. He says, go and pranipaten, which means go and bow down. Very deep meaning of this word. We will come to the whole chapter. We would be covering 10 to 24 and then 33 onwards till 42nd verse. This is the section that was pending from last time. And I also want to thank all of you that you agreed and you allowed me to divide it in two parts because it was too much of information last time. So this Tatvidhi Pranipatena Pariprashnena Sevaya. So go, bow down to the spiritual master. The moment we hear, we have to bow down before someone. 99% of crowd is aside. No, why should I bow down? And what is this? You guys are again promoting the same thing. Surrender. In the name of surrender, then you will exploit. You cannot afford to throw the baby with the bath water. Srila Prabhupada often used to say, if your eye develops cataract, then what do you remove? Cataract or the eye? If there is corruption in religion, what would you remove? Religion or corruption? Logically speaking, you would say corruption. But when it comes to actually doing it, you remove religion. That's what I call throwing the baby with the bathwater. Let the whole thing get finished. And this has become a tendency. This is a mental lethargy. In the yesteryears, mother-in-laws were entrusted, I'm not saying interested, entrusted to take care, of their daughters-in-laws. And what did they do? They literally burned them, harangued them, harassed them, ridiculed them. And there's no gender equation here. It's a woman doing to a woman. and a man not taking side of dharma. So the whole thing crumbled. And then what did you find as a solution? In the name of equality, you said next time, if any mother-in-law touches a daughter-in-law, she will not be asked the question. The husband's father and mother, all three will be jailed, including his sister also. Now you have a list of some 16,000 plus cases, which are fraud cases. Because what you are trying to do here is you compensate in your way, but in the method of compensation, you throw the whole paradigm, upside down. Then they said, okay, teachers. So discipline comes, disciple word comes from discipline. And how do you discipline someone? In the impressionable age, you discipline someone, and it is quite possible that you will have a great citizenry. But what did those teachers do? Exploitative opportunists. So many children underwent huge trauma. Even after their married life, began, they couldn't forget those impressions because they were so strong. They would come and haunt those children. Many of them went deaf and dumb, not dumb, deaf. Then what did you do? You brought a knowledge, another law into the picture. You said next time you touch a child, and it would count as child abuse and you will be jailed. So what do you get? Now you have a generation of children who have no sense of etiquette. And those parents who take pride in the fact that their son or their daughter can speak fluently, wait till you become the victim of that. And you run out of answers and logic and arguments. Because you made your child learn market. That's what you did. So that's all he does, argues. These are little children. How do you make a 25, 26, 28 years a CEO? Based on the skills that he or she has acquired. Don't you realize the capability to deal with so much money, so much fame? How will that person cope up? But there is no consideration on such aspects. You just put up things upside down in the name of law, saying now it won't get better. It's exactly like reservation. Oh, they were, left out. So now in order to compensate, what we are doing is we are introducing this reservation system. In what field? Medical, engineering. If you know that the pilot who's going to run your plane today has come from a certain class, and he cleared his engineering, his aeronautical engineering basis this, and he got his pilot training also basic, will you sit in that plane? Will you give yourself to a doctor who did not get pass marks in the entrance examination? I mean, who does those things? This is called corruption in religion. It doesn't mean only about religion when you think it's about God realization. This tendency to throw the baby with the bathwater. Every time, in every aspect, just do that. So if a certain community is in minority, then the majority is running havoc. Wait till they become a majority. And it'll be other way around. But did you then find any viable alternative or any solution to the problem? No, you didn't. You pick up race, you pick up gender, you pick up religion, anywhere. They just believe in upside down. So there is capitalism, and therefore there is exploitation, and the working class is suffering, and only the entrepreneurs are enjoying. Okay, turn it around. And you bring in socialism. Therefore, in chapter 6, Krishna talks about middle path. Neither he eats more nor less. Neither he sleeps more nor less. This is called Madhyam Margi. That's the way of life. Abstemiousness is the right word for it. That's how one should try and imbibe this learning. And that's why India as a mixed economy is relatively safer. If you give everything to the Tatas and Birlas and Dalmias and Ambanis of the world, then there would be a section of citizenry which would suffer. And if you give everything to government agencies, the progress will take centuries. I'm getting reminded of a very beautiful, very poignant verse. You know, some poet said it. In Indian villages, people waited for decades that they will have transportation, they will have access to roads. And then eventually roads came. And one poet said, those of you who understand Hindi, I'm reciting it. He said, Sadak, tum ab aayi ho gaon mein. I repeat, Sadak, tum ab aayi ho gaon mein. जब सारा गांव शहर जा चुका. We bring development once people have given up on it. Look at all our laws also, amendments as well. So much of sacrifice. Then only you get a state of Telangana and this and that, and so much we go through. Point being made, I'm just coming back to that. It is something that is universal. This corruption enters into every aspect of our life. And by the same logic, it entered into the process of self-realization as well. And it got corrupted. So therefore, Krishna says that chain got broken, and thus I am giving it, re-establishing this chain by telling this method to you, Arjun. So he's telling it again, this Bhagavad Gita. So it's not the first time that in Kurukshetra it was told to Arjun. The beauty of this transcendental knowledge is it does not change. You think I will go do a PhD, add another dimension to it. Nothing, no. It's absolutely intact, absolutely perfect. You can't add anything to it. Why? Because it is by the very name transcendental. It is beyond mind, intelligence, false ego, and all the knowledge gathering senses and acting senses, everything. Any realm of sthul and sukshma, gross and subtle, it transcends. That is how it is to be understood. When you meditate over and again that transcend means not of this realm, not of this realm, not of this realm. And those of you who still couldn't catch what I mean, then please understand, we have certain type of obsession with new age, quote unquote, spiritual practices. Most of them are pseudo, because they are not spiritual. At max, they are metaphysical or psychological. Oxytocin, melatonin, serotonin, and whatever. This is just a journey from thought to release of chemical. You're just traveling in this realm. Why don't you pause and say that I'm still stuck with my thought system? So what is the one what is transcendental about it? Every time everything comes back to my health, my tranquility, my peace, my, every moment. You're not going to learn this way. I'm not saying it to you. Please don't misunderstand. I'm just saying it for everyone. Transcendental has to transcend. I don't know why is it happening today. It seems today is the day of some shero shairi happening here. This Urdu poet who made a couplet, and I'm just saying it to explain this to you. He said, "Baki sab, everyone else, sahil ke tamashai hai. They are just having fun standing on the bank. Manzar dekhne wale." Manzar means whatever fun is happening here, they're just relishing it. बाकी सब साहिल के तमाशाई हैं, मंजर देखने वाले. समंदर में तो उतरेंगे, समंदर देखने वाले. Those who really want to explore what lies there in that unexplored territory, uncharted waters, virgin territory. What is lying there? You don't know. What will happen to you? You don't know. Whether you will survive, you don't know. समंदर में तो उतरेंगे, समंदर देखने वाले. Then you will see that reality. Standing on the bank, say maybe 10 feet there and 20 feet there, and if you travel 100 meters, then maybe for 55 feet deep. This is called speculation. And there is no value of it in spiritual practices. So this knowledge must be understood as it is. Now you look at all the self-help literature, it instantaneously improvises your physical being, your mental being, your emotional being, which you misunderstand as your spiritual being. We are spiritual beings having a material experience. We are not material beings having a spiritual experience. So our obsession with material experience and misidentifying it with spiritual experience is spiritual illiteracy. We are uneducated at large. With your sitting posture, your breathing techniques, you can immediately enter into a realm of relative peace, have an improved blood pressure, may stay away from certain diseases for some time. You're calling it mercy of God. You're calling it power of spirituality. These are all misnomers then. Transcendental, over, above. Not necessarily above the body only, subtle body also. Gross body is one thing. So that's why Krishna created a full fourth chapter. He didn't create the chapter, he just spoke, he just sang the Gita. Gita means sing, and it's a song. Bhagavad Gita means song of God. So he sang it for our benefit. But what needs to be understood here, excuse me, can you pause, not pause, but yeah, put on silent this thing. Put others on silent, please. Yeah, thank you. So what is happening by not understanding this transcendental is we are also contributing in corrupting the succession, or chain rather, I'm sorry, the chain of disciplic succession. Now the question is, Radhapati Prabhu, you told us so much, you made us almost, scared that this is not this, this is not this, this is not this. But then what is it? What is it? And if we can't grasp it, then how do we even practice it? So therefore, the next thing is Mahajana Yena Gata Sapantha. Now you have to follow the path of great personalities. The path that they chose is the path that takes us there. All right. So we understood that whichever way the great personalities have gone, we should go that way. So what is that way? That way, then Krishna again re-emphasizes that you do your activity without worrying about the output of it, and you offer that output to me. Mai sarvani karmani. What did he do? He is not saying you meditate on acquiring some tranquility in your life. He's not even touching that path at all. He's just saying give up, give up, give up the results. That's why last time I made you go through verse number 25 till verse number 32. What are the ways in which you can give up? Krishna went technical. So we read at length about those types of sacrifices that we can offer. That's the path. So when you go to the 15th chapter of this Bhagavad Gita, it will become increasingly clearer. There, Krishna talks about a tree whose roots are upside and whose branches are downside, which means it's a perverted tree. But the beauty is, Krishna says, do not search for the root of the tree, Arjun. I repeat, do not search for the root of the tree, Arjun. With the weapon of detachment and knowledge, you start chopping off the branches. So when you give up, one after another, incessantly keep chopping off, then you will reach that root ultimately. There is a difference between continuously chopping off and searching for the root. There are two different ways to do it. Here the Lord is talking about chopping off. What does it mean? I had a desire. I had accumulated karma. So therefore I received certain facility. That facility is the branch. What do you mean by chop off? Now that I have come to this conclusion, because of this literature, that I am supposed to continuously act for what is doable for me, what is prescribed duty for me, and then give up. That giving up is chopping off. There's another method where you can just stay away from the whole thing. That way also you reach the root. But here the root is chop off. Just keep cutting. So your karmic reactions, day by day, they are decreasing. You're not adding another karmic dimension. The day you say, I have to go to office, I have to do this 7 items from my task list. Some would be, I will be initiating. Some will be work in progress. Some will terminate after today because the deadline is there. But I'm least bothered about initiating, work in progress, or terminating. My job is keep doing. Because I had desired, I have got the facility, I must execute it. Some will be positive, some will not be so positive. What have I got to do with it? If Krishna makes me the president of United States, all right, I will still preach. And if Krishna doesn't give any such facility, I will still preach. My preaching, my service to the Lord remains constant. If he gives more facility, I shall attempt. And when does he give more facility? When you become qualified. He wants Yudhishthir to be the king. He wants Prahlad to be the king. He wants Dhruv to be the king. Because those are saintly kings. They will be most beneficial for a large number of people. So transcendental knowledge means here that this cannot be grasped by the intelligent. It has to be understood the way our successors have done it. And then following which way? Tadvidi pranipaten pariprashnen sevaya. Bow down to him. Submissively inquire from him. Serve him. Please him. That's how. And kindly consider all the word him, his, etc. as gender neutral. The main idea is go to a guru. He doesn't need to be too good with language. He doesn't need to know too many synonyms, or he needn't be beautiful, good looking, or have a great singing capability. You are again falling for the material qualities. Intensely observe how dependent is he on Krishna. How much is he directly in connection with the Supreme? And that gets reflected in qualities like compassion, generosity, ability to tolerate, ability to forgive, being lovable, being well-wishing friend to everyone, unbiased. Those qualities will be, they will become visible to you. You'll be able to see those qualities. Then you would know, oh, my spiritual master. So transcendental knowledge is acquired by following. Who do you follow? The disciplic succession, self-made gurus. If you could become your own guru and you know just deliver yourself from this whole cycle of birth and death, then why is this whole gamut of scriptures which are there, why are they continuously talking about guru, 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 guru? And once again, the same two questions. Prabhu, today in the world, where do we find a real guru? I mean, if you have to crack a medical exam, you start preparing 3 years in advance. Then you give 5 more years and still you are just an MBBS. But you are willing to toil. But when it comes to spiritual things, you act like, I have now decided to be spiritual. Everything should come to me. Hello, why? Go search. Suffer in the whole process. Show it to Krishna that I really want it. That 5 years old child, when he got insulted by his stepmother, when she pulled him out of the lap of his dad, and she said, if you want to sit there, you better take birth from my womb. Because he was a warrior by heart. He was seething in anger. Clenching his fist, and he just left home. But because he was born of a saintly mother, he said, which way can I get, a country, a kingdom, which I can rule, which is bigger than my dad's kingdom? Because he's a warrior. He doesn't know Krishna. But the mother was saintly. She said, only Vishnu can make it happen. He said, where will I find him? She said, I have heard that all sages go to forests to search for him. That little child just left home. Then Krishna sent Narad Muni. So that's another thing. You start sincere inquiry. Yearn, suffer that Krishna, God, absolute truth, supreme reality, energy, call whatever you want to call, but I want to know you. And I really mean it. I am willing to suffer for it. I'm willing to pay a price for it. Then Narad Muni went and what did he do? He tested him. He said, my dear child, such things happen in a home. You should not be so upset with your father. But Dhruv was very clear. He said, if you know where is Vishnu, you tell me. If you do not know, please excuse me, I have no time. Then Narad Muni understood. He won't stop. Once again, I don't know what's happening today, but take another couplet. This is so as to make you all understand. पत्थर पहले खुद को पत्थर करता है. A stone makes itself stone-like first. I repeat, पत्थर पहले खुद को पत्थर करता है, फिर ही कुछ कारीगर करता है. Then a guru can do something. You have to be ready. Okay, chisel me out. Whichever way you like it, just chisel me out. Then from this side, from that side, and then a great form come out of the stone. But those who say, oh, I want to be that form, but I'm not ready to take all these hits, I'm sorry. Those people don't get anything. So tadvidi pranipaten pariprashnena sevaya. You have to search for the guru, bow down to him, make a submissive inquiry, not a challenging inquiry. No. So then, how does that happen? This is not your classroom. If you don't understand, it means you can't reconcile. Then say that. How do we understand this? No, but you said that. No. There is. These people. It's not that the guru doesn't know. It is just that your mood to learn is not mature enough. Challenging mindset. Therefore, pranipaten, bow down. Sevaya, equally important. You please him by service. Once the queens of Dwarka, you know, they were they were all there, and the Draupadi was there, so they all asked Draupadi. He said, "There are five, you are one. What magic cast you spell that they all are always so appreciative of you?" And this is an amazing answer. She said, "I won them by service." Dear seekers, that's also a way to fight, where we win people by service. Krishna can also be brought under control by service. But before you begin to serve, you have to conquer false ego. Otherwise, you cannot serve. When you take salary and do a job, then that's not service. That's a transaction. And there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just sharing with you. Servant is Ashulka Dasika. The gopis of Vrindavan, they don't charge Krishna, no matter what way he keeps them. They just serve him. Draupadi served her five husbands and brought them under her control. I don't know if I could transport you into that realm where people win over each other via service. Since that realm is the realm of Goloka Vrindavan, that realm is opposite to this material realm. Here we win by snatching away and by exploiting. And there we win by service. Sakshat Haritvena Samasta Shastraira. All the scriptures claim Guru to be God, but in essence he is not God. Kintu Prabhoyah Priya Eva Tasya. Guru is extremely dear to Krishna because he is one of the chief servants of Krishna. And we bow down to such a spiritual master. That's the essence of chapter 4. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Because then he will tell you Updekshanti. He will tell you about me because he has seen me, realized me, he knows about me. When you look at the paradigm in which Lord Sri Hari operates, this is a paradigm of hierarchy. This is a paradigm of superior and inferior, connected via service. Therefore, the mercy can flow down, and there is no scope of exploitation. So he says, Evam parampara praptam, one after another. From sun god to Manu, from Manu to Ikshvaku, then from Ikshvaku to the next one. Rajarashayo Vidu, saintly kings passed on this transcendental knowledge. And I told you, what is this transcendent? You can't grasp it, but you can start the process. How do you start the process? You do your activity and offer it to Krishna. Particularly to all those members who don't, keep their house clean. Get up, use a broom and sweep the floor. And after sweeping the floor, just sit down for a moment and say, my dear Lord, you stay in this house. This is your house. And thus it must be clean because you like cleanliness. So for your pleasure, I did this small service. You kindly accept it. Now the effort that you put in sweeping the floor has entered into unlimited variety. It has just entered into a seam with no boundary. You will never say to Krishna, I kept you in my house and therefore I kept the house so clean and therefore now you give it to me in return. No. I did it for your pleasure. That means that you have gifted it. Once you give a gift, you don't ask back. It's gone from your right purview of, how should I put it? It has gone from your asset list. It's over. It doesn't belong to you anymore. You make a PowerPoint presentation, and before you go and start your presentation, you say, Krishna, I'm doing it to keep my body and soul together so that I can further meditate upon you, sing your glories, tell other people about you. And therefore, I'm least bothered what will happen as a result of this presentation. I'll just go and give it. Then you won't shake standing there, nor will you flutter. But it would be one of the best because you're doing it for the best. Some people appreciate, some people do big deal. You never did it for them. This is called Yoga Karma Kaushalam. This technique, this art is the Samam Bonam. And if you can understand this technique, you can capture Krishna. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasana adhyatma chetasa. You offer it to me. In 9th, 10th chapter, he'll again say, Yat karoshi, whatever you do. Yat ashnaji, whatever you eat, whatever austerity you perform, whatever charity you give, madarpanam, give it to me. You think me only as a person. You can also think me as the overall total reality. Which basically means you water the root of the tree and everything will be fine. Instead of watering twigs and, what you call leaves and all other stuff. That's temporary. It's like when you take almonds, you get sufficient amount of nutrition of certain type. So your lips remain fine. Or else you have to keep applying the petroleum jelly. So you want it from internally, you have to do it, or you want to do this, stopgap thing. Choice is yours. And when you water the leaves, they only look fresh. They don't get much life. Similarly, when you satisfy the demigods, whether it is Lord Shiva, Ganesha, Hanumanji, or whoever, Indra, Agni, Vayu, Varun, everyone, then for a moment you may feel fresh. But from within, you don't feel fresh. Santushti, tripti, satisfaction doesn't come. And towards the end of this chapter, then Krishna goes on to explain that this transcendental knowledge, wherein he says, Janma karma chame divyam, my activity is my birth. If you meditate upon them, then you will understand how I act. Then you act accordingly. And you will
आवाज ही
acquire.
नहीं थी.
Sorry, Mr. Bisht. Can other devotees hear me?
Yes,
Kiran?
Prabhu. Very, very, very well, Prabhuji. Please continue.
Okay. So, if you can continuously meditate on how Krishna acts, let me give you some examples. This will make it much easier for all of you. So, how many of you, assuming that we still come from civilized families, how many of you would like to marry someone who has been into illicit affairs or who has been raped multiple times? How many of us would want to accept such men or women? We won't. We may say that. To do a social show off, we may attempt it also. But Krishna is such a sweet Lord. He's so superb that when he freed those 16,000 princesses from the grip of the demon, Narakasura. That those princesses said, our dear Krishna, why did you free us? Because our parents, the society will not accept us. We have lived night after night here in this prison. So nobody will ever accept us. So Krishna said, you have taken my shelter. So there's no chance that you would ever repent it. So I will accept you. What is the cost Krishna paid for this? What cost did he pay? The cost is that till this date, a section of this society calls him a womanizer who had fun with 16,000 women. He took this infamy upon himself for such a long time to fulfill the desire of his devotees. That's Krishna for us. When you meditate, this is transcendental. One who is not affected by man, apaman, fame and infamy, who remains equipoised in both of them. Such a devotee is dear to me, Arjun. So if we want to be like him, then we got to act like him. At least begin. He suffers for others without letting anybody know that he's suffering for that person. He never tells them. So then by him, with his conduct, we learn that we should silently suffer for people we love. You understand, Krishna. He, made a bold announcement. He said, I am on the side of Arjun, but I will not talk my people. And there is this Rasika Bhakta called Vishnu. He said, my dear Lord, you got to break this promise. I will make sure you do it. And right in the middle of the war, Bhishma starts hitting arrows one after another. He had so much power that he could take on 30 Arjunas together. He was so powerful. And after a while, Arjun got bewildered. Krishna says, why aren't you fighting back? He said, I am deploying all my assets and armory. But today, grandfather is just, he's in a different form altogether. And Krishna then shows anger. He says, Arjun, I can't see you getting defeated because you are representing dharma. He said, my Lord, but I'm less in strength right now. He then jumps from the chariot. He picks up a wheel and he rushes towards Bhishma, indicating that he would hurl the wheel and throw it at him. Bhishma just puts his arrow and bowed down. With tears in his eyes and his whole body shivering, Bhishma then says, my dear Lord, I broke your promise. Krishna loves his devotees so, Bhakta Vatsalya. He loves his devotees so much that he can break his own promise. He doesn't care. This silent suffering for your own people, living for others, these are transcendental qualities. They don't come by, I'm sorry, but I feel so upset, so therefore I get carried away. This whole melatonin, serotonin and all this stuff. Just get over. Get over, we are least bothered because this is not transcendental. This is metaphysical or psychological. You'll get into this cobweb of jugglery, verbal jugglery. Just focus on how great personalities act. All glories to Maharishi Dadichi, whose meditation Indra broke to safeguard himself. Smilingly, Dadichi said, why do you think I should give myself up for you? Indra had no answer. Dadichi knew the answer. He knew that Krishna desired that Dadichi gives himself. So he gave up his life. He said, now you make a strong vajra and kill. We come from, these are the Mahajanas. When the whole world needed one personality to take poison, nobody came forward. Nobody came forward. Who would come forward to drink poison? Then that supreme devotee of Lord Vishnu, Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu, who has learned from his master only one thing, suffering for others. He came forward. He said, I will drink it. Therefore, he is glorious in the three worlds and unlimited universes. And did he not faint? He did faint. So did he not get affected? He did get affected. He's holding that poison. He hasn't gulped it down. That's a skill. So Mahajana Yena Gata Sapantha, those people have taken that path. We got to follow that path. Far, far, far away from all these bogus pseudo-spiritual aspects. Janma karma chame divyam. My birth and my activities are transcendental. So what are those activities? When a 7-year-old child picks up a giant mountain merely on the tip of a finger, not even tip of a finger, tip of the nail of a finger. That's an activity which is transcendental. But let me tell you, before that, what did he do? If you ever visit Vrindavan, then go and check how far is Barsana, where is Nandagaon, and where is Govardhan. And when the rain was, it was like, pouring cats and dogs. And when Krishna figured out that Indra is just going to strike, thunderstorms one after another, the beautiful, description comes in scripture. But Krishna says, I will not let my Braj drown, Indra. And he ran. So when Sheshnag saw that Krishna is running, he ran right after him and made a hood so that his beloved Lord doesn't get wet. And then Krishna rushed towards Govardhan. Nothing less than 20 kilometers. That little child saved his whole village, who knew no one but him. Indar kop kiyo braj upar, garaj garaj hari, nakh par girvar dhar liyo, Govind girdhari. Indra got upset on Braj. And the Supreme Personality, Brajera Rakhal, he saves Brajvasi. Who are those Brajvasi? You, me, all of us. People, and anyone who's Krishna conscious is Brajvasi. You tell him, I can't protect myself. Can you please protect myself? Then he protects you. But how do we pray? Well, I don't think I will need you, but maybe I will need you. But I will need you for my enjoyment, not for my safety. Such conditional surrender doesn't work. I'm just giving you a glimpse of transcendental knowledge. Read the letter that the Krishna wrote after leaving Vrindavan. He sent a letter back to gopis. He said, my dear gopis, I have sent Uddhav to assuage your feelings of separation. But let me tell you, I left you all so that you can love me more. It doesn't mean he wants to be loved more. It means he wants them to experience the depth of love more and more and more. So he's enhancing the sense of separation. Why? Because this is what devotees love. 10 times you enjoy more a relationship in which there is separation. The sense of joy is 1/10 of sense of separation. This is called Vipralamba Bhava. Service in separation. Lord Chaitanya came to enjoy this bhav. So this is transcendental knowledge. What I'm telling you in terms of, offering your activities to Krishna is just a preliminary level, a very elementary level of this existence. Way beyond this is the exchange of mellows, rasas, between the lover and the beloved, which means between the devotee and his supreme master, where master forgets his own identity and master becomes a servant, and servant takes on the identity of a master, and therefore he acts as father of Krishna, mother of Krishna, and Krishna is ready to be ridiculed by his devotees, ready to be beaten up by his devotees. And this is not a drama. He's relishing those mellows. Sorry, the class took a different direction today, but this is what actually, in essence, fourth chapter is, that you should know what is transcendental knowledge. It merely begins with the acts of sacrifice, but it culminates into the exchange of rasas. You will get to read about these rasas more in chapter 9 and chapter 10 of Bhagavad Gita. But that also is very elementary. So then you take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam, where you would be thrilled to know how devotees, you know, Krishna is a puppet in the hands of his devotees. They make him dance. And the culmination of these rasas you will witness in Chaitanya Charitamrita, where how in today's day and age one should perform bhakti has been described by none other than Krishna himself in the form of Lord Chaitanya. Thank you so much, dear audiences. If you have any question, you can ask. Okay, Kiran Mataji, ask please.
Yeah, there is one question that has come through the form. Others, can you just type the question? I think that might be better since, yeah.
Whichever way, yeah.
Yeah. So, how would you define Krishna? Is he there to keep us reformed, or a friend to be with us in good times and bad times?
Suhrad Sarvadehinam. He is a well-wishing friend of every living entity, be it an ant or a plant or an aquatic. So yes, he is a friend, but he's a ultimate well-wisher. Ultimate well-wisher means no matter what he or she does, it's always beneficial for you. So that's one thing. That the second thing is the reform word is a bit of a misnomer. Krishna he has a lot of lolyam. Lolyam means he has too much mamatvam. He wants that everyone should enjoy as much as he does, because he doesn't have ego. See, we get something precious, then we don't want to share it, because it gives us a certain type of exclusivity. We want to retain it. Krishna has opposite nature. He wants everyone to feel the bliss that he feels. So he encourages, he doesn't force himself, but he encourages everyone. He says, why are you rotting there? Come over. Come over. What you are thinking as joy is very temporary, and you have to pay such a huge price. Just come here on this platform and enjoy the way I enjoy. So this is his causeless love upon us, that he wants all of us to enjoy like him. Isn't he amazing? Who in this world does that? If I sit into a 5-star property today, then what would I think? Okay, these 100 people who are there, they all shouldn't come into this room. My room will be filled and I wouldn't be able to enjoy. Krishna thinks opposite. He says everybody should get this air conditioning and this nice cushion bed, etc. Everyone should enjoy. So come over. Don't stay there on the road. We say, no, we have this quilt here. I can't leave my quilt here. Who will look after my quilt? The guard won't let me in with the quilt, and therefore I will lose the quilt. You don't come up. This is us. We want to save our 2 cents and reject Krishna's dollar. So a reformer has an implication of certain type of autocracy. Krishna is not an autocrat. Krishna is not at all an autocrat. He has immense, infinite patience. So he encourages us through these transcendental literatures. But he values He treats even a small ant exactly equal to him. Therefore, he doesn't take away the little independence that that ant possesses. That is not Krishna's independence, that is ant's independence. We may say, that's why I'm suffering. Well, but if we take away your independence, you would be suffocated. Immediately, you would be suffocated. So don't say that. Just get yourself ready. Okay, Professor Dr. Gita, please ask.
Uh, Hare Krishna.
Pranam,
Actually,
Mother.
Pranam. Actually, I want to ask a question. If there is husband wife, if wife is in family regarding illicit affairs of her husband, but she is a devotee of Lord Krishna. In that condition, how can she perform her duties with her husband? Also, how can she perform prayers to Lord Krishna? I mean, she is
Very
maybe
nice question. I understood. The answer to this question is that number one, you must bring it forth before the husband. You, in the sense, whoever has asked this question. The husband must be, categorically asked, not challenged. There is a difference between the two. In relationships, it's not that people can't improve. It is just that if you play too much black and white, say, no, this is this way, and if it is not this way, then this is this way. No. People, all of us, Prabhupada uses the term, we are victimized by Maya. Victimized by Maya, which means that we fall into the trap, we touch lower modes. Every one of us does that. Not a husband, not a wife, everyone. Only the thing is, there are certain social taboos for which you can exclude a person more. That's all. But each one of us continuously performs sinful activities. So sit back and observe. And then try to encourage your husband by reminding him of his glories. Remind you, you are, you should know you are a hero because everyone has that thing in him or her. Everybody possesses good qualities. Prabhupada had this uncanny knack. If he will just observe one good quality, he would encourage that person. Keep on encouraging, not buttering. There is a difference between the two. So when you remind somebody, in terms of what kind of a house, what kind of a khandan, so to say, you come from, chances are some people come back, Mataji. Some do not come back, some people come back. And your grihastha life gets saved. If you want to take it in terms of justice and injustice, black and white, then that's not how Vedic way of life works. Wife may derail, husband may derail. You see, that time I know you, you please. That grihastha life doesn't last longer. So my request to you is, one, do not be afraid of taking it up with the husband, but take it up with him in terms of reminding him of his erstwhile glories. Then also remind him, look at Krishna, what is he doing? He's encouraging us. What are you doing? If you win, you will enjoy the earth. If you lose, you will enjoy heaven. Both ways, it's good. Come on, go for it. He also tells a Kutastva, Kashmalamidam. How come you got contaminated? Anaryam, Ajushta, Swargyam. This doesn't befit a civilized person, Arjun. This weakness of heart. Is Krishna saying, I give up on you, you petty? And over, out, finished. No Bhagavad Gita. This haste of considering oneself right and the other person wrong is not the platform. The platform is, oh my God, my beloved touched a lower mode, and this Maya made it happen. I gotta reclaim my husband. And then keep trying is the duty of a wife or a husband to reclaim. Bring back ghar vapsi. That's a genuine ghar vapsi. So that's the answer. And your prayers will always have the element that, my dear Krishna, please give good intelligence to my husband, by which he can become your devotee, and then everything else he would leave. And this is for every wife, every husband. My spiritual master makes one statement. It's a very deep statement. I'm sharing it with all of you. He says, forgive so that Krishna can forgive you. I'm leaving all of you with this statement today. I repeat, forgive so that Krishna can forgive you. We make innumerable mistakes, but we so conveniently forget when someone else makes the mistake. Our ability to forgive is zilch, is horrible. Our forgiveness quotient sucks. There is nobody has come up with this term. I'm just sharing with you. We got to have a higher forgiveness quotient. Look at Mother Earth. Despite all what we do on her, she gives food to us year after year because her forgiveness quotient is very high. Everywhere, great people are forgiving without ego. It's inconvenient to forgive, but they do. So follow that. I wouldn't take any more questions now. I'm calling it a day. Thank you so much. Next, those who are in the Sunday class, please resume to the Sunday class. Those of you who are from the Friday 10 a.m. class, you may come on Friday 10 a.m. Those who are exclusively from Google. Thank you so much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Shri Krishna Chandra Bhagwan ki jai. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Guru Maharaj ki jai. आप सभी भक्त वृंद की जय। हरे कृष्ण। दंडवत प्रणाम।